Let me bring in Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond, who has been with us a number of times in our continuing coverage of this story. She's a former Saskatchewan judge and a professor of law at the University of British Columbia. Thank you so much for joining us again. What do you make of these developments tonight? Both these former ministers kicked out of the caucus.
Well, it's a bit difficult to take that they've been rejected by their party. Clearly, this is the flexing of political muscle. But the fact is that, in particular, the former Attorney General, she spoke out after the Globe and Mail released a story that has some very serious issues about the rule of law. And so to see her effectively be punished for having spoken truthfully and accurately about her experience, it's a bit difficult. And I'm not sure that this is going to remove the concern about the SNC-Lavalin matter.
Well, let me ask you, I suppose that's part of what's behind the decision today, is that the Liberals realized this was starting to tear them apart. It was starting to pull down public support for them. So one assumes that part of the reason for this was to put an end to the political bleeding, as it were, and to try and move on from this story. But does it erase those questions about what really happened here simply because they're no longer members of caucus?
No, I don't think it does. And I think some of the language that was pretty inflated here about somehow she was so deeply unprofessional and inappropriate because of the recording of the conversation with the clerk of the Privy Council. I think she said pretty clearly, she admitted that it was inappropriate, but she was in an unprecedented situation where she was being pushed and bullied by the principal secretary of the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister's office, the clerk of the Privy Council, and others, and she spoke out about it. I think this is going to be a very challenging day for the Liberal Party, because it suggests that there are certain, let's say, women that are going to be allowed in the Liberal Party, and there are certain women that are not going to be allowed in the Liberal Party, and the ones that speak out for the rule of law and principle have been shown the door. So there's going to be a credibility issue here, not to mention the fact that no one has actually properly examined the allegations here, that unless perhaps the RCMP Integrity Unit is on it. But no one's really examining them and getting to the bottom of the answers. It's a political solution today, and the political solution continued the line we've seen for a while, which is we're shutting you down.
Okay, let me pick up on the comments. You say that some women in caucus will be allowed to speak out and some won't. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying that the message that's sent today, in particular, Ms. Wilson-Raybould, in her letter to the caucus today, talked about misogyny and talked about the treatment of women. And clearly the statement and that real strong-arming tactic by the Prime Minister to throw them out, and then everyone to jump up and applaud as if it's a great triumphant moment for Canada. Let's just be really clear here. They threw these women out because they actually spoke directly and openly about something that they were concerned about, and they felt that their party needed to get to the bottom of. And actually, I think Canadians were on their side in terms of wanting to know the story. They weren't in the side of deciding what to do about it, but they wanted to learn about it. So the issue, the feeling you have watching that unfold was a political strong arm deciding who qualifies to be the kind of woman that can be in the Liberal Party or not. But clearly the kind of woman that can be in the Liberal Party isn't going to be a strong Indigenous woman in terms of Jody, Wilson-Raybould, or a very strong former cabinet minister, Jane Philpott. These two women who I don't think they feel they did anything wrong, they are being punished for doing something right. And I don't think Canadians like when people get punished for doing the right thing. It just doesn't sit well. It doesn't digest well.
All right. Thank you once again for your time with us tonight. Do appreciate it. The story, I think, continues. We're not sure in what form, but we'll continue to follow it. Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond, thanks so much for your time.